Hey, Dominus Viscum. Thank you everyone for joining me today. This was a quick one I wanted to do actually for everyone. I wanted to actually do a talk about what my channel is about. A bit more, obviously, I'm going to go more into my personal character a bit later on. But yeah, I just wanted to go through a few things on what I want to do for the channel. And I think the main thing is although people look at my channel, I think predominantly as a Catholic channel, it really is more about individual faith for each person, whatever that may be. And obviously, a lot of my background, as you know, like since I was in the force or the police service, I studied counselling, psychology, mental health, things like that. What I want to cover here is just basically a collective to try and help people understand how important faith is and whatever that is. So, if you're, for example, Muslim, it's fantastic. We're going to cover things on Islam on this channel. If, for example, you are Roman Catholic, Protestant, Church of England, anything like that, we are going to cover that. We're going to cover Church of England parishes. We already have done one, Mary Magdalene's in Longfield, Kent, which is a beautiful one. We've also done St. Peter's and St. Paul's in Trotters Cliff in Kent, which is a beautiful church by the North Downs in the middle of the country. We've done St. John's, which is an Anglo-Catholic church, and we're also going to plan on doing a few more. I want to do St. Botolph's in Northfleet. I want to do another one in Northfleet called All Saints Church, and many other Church of England ones we're going to cover. I want to cover Lutheranism, different churches. So some of my shorts, some of you have seen, it may come across that I'm very pro Roman Catholic. Now, I am a Roman Catholic, and obviously I wouldn't convert to anything else, but it doesn't mean that I want to push my views onto you for you to be Roman Catholic. I like to do, when some of my videos come across a bit one-sided, we should say, it's more in the sense of I'm trying to help people understand the truth about their faith, where they came from. So you shouldn't really talk badly about the mother church of where you all came from. And obviously, historically, like we said before, Jesus started the Roman Catholic Church. And this is historically speaking as well. History backs this. He started the Roman Catholic Church and he started the Eastern Orthodox Church. And they're the only two churches which were founded by Christ. And obviously there was a schism when they both separated. But Rome and the Eastern Orthodox are kind of still to this day, especially the Eastern Orthodox, they haven't changed for over 1,000 years, 2,000 years. They haven't changed. Rome kind of changed a bit, which a lot of people, a lot of traditionalists in the Roman Catholic Church do not like. Me being one of them, but I do like Nevis Aldo. I think Pope Francis is a lovely man. I do think that other pontiffs would be a better choice. I think Pope Benedict XVI was amazing. I think John Paul II, John Paul the Great, can't beat the man. He was the best, religious holy man we've had for a long time. But this channel isn't about that. Some of my shorts do come across, and if you haven't seen them, please do look, and you'll see I go through a lot of facts about the Roman Catholic Church, and that's to the people who criticise the Roman Catholic Church on a daily basis. And bearing in mind, when I say Roman Catholic, this also includes the Byzantine, Eastern Catholics. It also includes the Anglo-Catholics, which are Church of England. It also includes the Anglican Catholics, which is the ACC, which was part of the Episcopalian Church. And even the Eastern Orthodox. Some of the traditionalists come under a lot of scrutiny. So that's where my defense comes in. But this channel is about people and their faith. So, for example, I want to help people come together to look at the Bible. Whether you read the King James Bible, whether you read the Great Adventure Bible from Ascension Presents, or the Word on Fire Bible from Bishop Aaron, it doesn't matter what one you read, because it all preaches the same message. It doesn't matter if you're Church of England. It doesn't matter if you are high church, low church. It doesn't matter if you're what some people call like evangelist happy clappy Christians, or if you're like hardcore devout Roman Catholics, or like the Latin Rite or the Eastern Orthodoxy. It's about finding your path. If I had somebody who messaged me and said, look, I've had traumas, I'm really, really low, I want to find a spiritual home. First thing I would do, as a Roman Catholic, is I would say, okay, that's fine. Well, where do you live? Where do you live? find out where they live, and then I'd help them and say, right, these are the local churches in your area. We have a Pentecostal church, we have a Roman Catholic church, we have a Methodist church, a Baptist church, Church of England, a Lutheran church, and we have a mosque, and we have a synagogue. These are your options. Then what I do is I give them a potted history. Now, obviously, I'd explain about Rome. I'd explain that is what people call the one true church of sin. But what style of worship suits you as an individual? So if Roman Catholicism is too rigid for you, I wouldn't force Roman Catholicism on you. If you fell in love with the Baptist church, I'd help you go to the Baptist church. I'd contact the Baptist church if you wanted me to. I'd talk to them, we'd gather information, and then we'd have a package for you to look at. So that's kind of my goal. My channel is not a one-sided channel. It's about all denominations, all faiths, and it's to help people come to terms with where they want their spiritual home to be. So it's there's a famous YouTuber called Matt Whitman from the 10-Minute Bible Hour, and he's absolutely amazing. And I think he's on the same purpose, really, where he's trying to collect all the faiths together of Christianity, and say, he knows about Rome, he knows the history, he knows about the Eastern Orthodoxy, he knows about the Evangelists, he knows about the Church of England. But you'll notice with him, he is so on the fence, but he's what I'd like to call a true Christian. In fact, I wish all presidents were just like him, because he won't criticize Rome, he won't criticize the Eastern Orthodox. But what he will do is he will go to an Eastern Orthodox church, he'll talk to their priest, and he will deliver a package for you. This is what Orthodoxy is. This is what Roman Catholicism is. This is what Church of England is. This is what Baptist is. This is what Methodist is. And he'll say, this is what it is. These are where the local churches are. Go and explore. Go and find. So although in some of my shorts and some of my videos, you'll see I say Rome is where all churches come from. So if you look at your church history, you do come from Rome. There's a lot of people out there who I find a lot of Protestant teachers who are very anti-Rome, and it's a cult, and it's this, and they're not going to heaven. Mate, you're singing and preaching from the very, very book that Rome wrote. So what I like to do is I don't like that route, and I don't like them sort of teachers. I like to say, look, and like I said, Matt Whitman's a classic example. He's amazing. He was a pastor. I like to say, look, if you want to learn about where your faith come from, I'll help you with that. But if you prefer an evangelist style, a Jehovah's Witness style, anything like that, even if you were edging towards like even the Islamic faith, I would do my best to help you find your spiritual home. And like I said, mental health is a big thing, and I've trained a lot in this subject, and partly because I suffered badly myself. So my channel is mainly about trying to help people come to terms and learn about their faith. B, oh, hello, got someone message me, 1 second. Would I ever talk about Buddhism? Yes, I would. I'll talk about Buddhism. I'm a 5th Dan black belt as well in like Japanese jiu-jitsu. So yes, I would talk about Buddhism. I would talk about all faiths. I namely do hit the main faiths of what we call the Abrahamic faith, which people do believe is the one true God, we should say. So yes, I will talk about Islam, Christianity, and Judaism, but I would also talk about Buddhism, because there's a lot of teachings in Buddhism that match what Christ said, and it's all about love and caring for people, and inner peace, which is vitally important, especially with mental health today. There is no inner peace anymore. People really do struggle in life, I find. So my goal is for this channel is not just give people educational content, not for people who just like history and architecture of the churches, not just about learning about the men in history and about like the documentary coming up about exorcism soon and things like that. It's more about people to find their home and their spiritual home. Now, when people want to get fit and healthy, lose a bit of weight, tone up, get strong, they go to the gym. But what about the gym and the mind? And the mind controls the body. Now, when you go to the gym, obviously you produce chemicals in the body, dopamine, endorphins, which make you feel good. Same thing what happens, obviously, when people have sex. It releases the same chemicals. So what I always say is the gym of the mind is more important. And there's only so much a counselor, a psychologist, or a psychiatrist and doctor can do for you. There's a ceiling. Faith is limitless. It gives you inner peace and it helps you. Now, I'm not one of the sort of Christians or Roman Catholics out there where I could sit next to a pagan and give them love and talk to them. And I'd listen to what they say, take it on board, may not agree with them, but I can give them love back. I can appreciate that, hey, they believe. That's what matters. They believe. May not be, to me, correct, but they have faith. And that faith can be critical for them. You also have to realize culture. Where are they from? You can really hurt people's feelings if you say, look, you're wrong. I will do documentaries on this where I'll say about all the great teachers in the past, but where Christ is superior. I will do a video on that. But I'm not going to say that to people as such who I'm trying to help. I'll say Christ is important, but if they go down the Buddhism route, for example, or if they go down, like, for example, the Sikh route or the Jehovah's Witness route, although it may not sit with me, as far as I'm concerned, it's saving a soul. It's saving someone who desperately may need your advice and guidance. So yes, I would teach Buddhism. To the question, yes, I would. I would do a video on Buddhism. I'm looking to go to actual monastery at some point and talk to the monks there, and get to do a bit on them, even do a bit on maybe the martial arts and what they study, and even about their form of meditation. And meditation is in every religion. Like, for example, I carry these everywhere, as people know, like my rosary beads. Now, if you look at Buddhism, for example, in the question, Buddhism have prayer beads. You go to Islam, and my friend Muhammad is going to be like, Brian, I've told you the name of this, but I've forgotten the name of their prayer beads. But they have prayer beads. If you go, obviously, to the Roman Catholic Church, they have prayer beads. And a lot of Christians don't realize that. These beads predate all your religion, all the Protestant religion. These are so amazing. So even if you don't know how to pray these, to own a pair, it's just a beautiful reminder of your faith, I think it's very important for people to learn and to study. I remember one of my team, Sean, who you've seen in one of my videos, my last video. He was in Rochester Cathedral, and he was praying the rosary. He's minding his own business up by the main altar, and a member of the congregation came in and said to him, "Oh, you do know this isn't a Catholic church?" And Sean was like, "Oh no, it's Church of England." And Sean was Church of England, and before he came over to Rome, and he said, "I'm just praying, just praying to God." He goes, "Oh, but this is different." Now, obviously, this isn't me attacking this gentleman who said this, because he turned out he was a Baptist and he was voluntarily working in the cathedral that day. But it just shows that people don't know their church history. And when you go to Rochester Cathedral, as you're going through where the main doors, you'll actually notice that there's this beautiful doorway that leads into where the choir stands are. And there's all these bishops from, I think it was Gandalf was the first one, all the way through. And like Sean said to him, you do realise that all them bishops at the front, when this building was built, all of them are Roman Catholic. Every single one of them. And it just shows you people don't know their history. But a man or a woman shouldn't go up to you in a place of worship and say, "Why are you praying the rosary? This is Church of England, or this is Baptist church." If I went into a church and I saw someone from the Islamic faith praying, if I knew what way they had to pray at the time, and I knew by the compass of where the building's facing, I'd say, that's the direction you need to pray. And I'd help them. There's a famous story with the Templars. Oh, 1 minute. I've just had another yes, that is correct. I'm glad you reminded me. Thank you. It is true, and they're absolutely beautiful. They're absolutely beautiful beads, and they're very similar to the Catholic bead. And with the Islamic one, they play. He did tell me exactly what they say, but I've forgotten, so I'm not going to pretend I know. But it was it's a prayer. It's the same prayer, I believe they say, on each bead, obviously. And obviously with the rosary, there's different things. Obviously, you have the Apostles' Creed. Sometimes I like to say the Nicene Creed for the cross. Then you have the Lord's Prayer, which is this bead here. Then you have 3 Hail Marys. Then the Glory Be. Then you start going into decades and things. And obviously you do the Lord's Prayer again, which will be on that knot. And then you have 10 Hail Marys, Glory Be, and another prayer, and then back to the Lord's Prayer again. And you do that through the decades. So, it's and even with Buddhism, and the thing is with the rosary, people hear Catholics pray it, and they'll hear, like, for example, Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee, and they go, and you're just saying words, but the meditation with a Buddhist is exactly the same as what the Catholic does. So with the meditation, what they do is they may say the words, but there's a mystery to each part. So it could be, Jesus appears in the Garden of Gethsemane. Archangel Michael appears to the Virgin Mary, and then what you do is you pray on that mystery and you meditate to that mystery. And obviously you've got the sorrowful mystery and glorious mystery, and there's different mysteries you can do. So I'll do a video on the rosary a bit later, but that's kind of what it is. So meditation's in every religion, whether it's Buddhism, Christianity, Judaism. They kind of go into a trance and they pray. You can hear in the background Gregorian chant, which again heavily comes from the Roman Catholic and Eastern Orthodox traditions. Now, they would have obviously sung Greek, Roman, Aramaic years ago. And what people don't realize is it's like every religion ticks the same box. They have the same tick sheet on what they believe. And that's kind of what we're kind of doing with this. So with my channel, like I said, everything I want to do is help people find their path, if that makes sense, their actual path where it fits in with them. So like I say, if, for example, you need that spiritual home and you say, look, Brian, can you help me? I really, really want to find my spiritual home. And I know you're Roman Catholic. I'm not really a Catholic. It doesn't really appeal to me. My goal would be to help you find that said path, if that makes sense. So I'd go, okay, well, these are your options. And then I'll try and help you find that. Because one thing what is upsetting, especially with Christianity, like with Islam, you've got Sunni and Shiites. Brilliant, and people think there's a big divide between them two, and there is a slight difference, but not really. They read the same Quran. There isn't much differences. But when it comes to Christianity, really you've got the two main forms, which is Orthodoxy and Catholicism. Everything else comes off from that. That's just facts, and people get angry when you say that, but it is just facts, historically facts as well. But it doesn't mean that your style of worship has to stick rigidly with what Rome says or what the Eastern Orthodoxy says. You can follow your own path. Like I said before, when I quoted Corey Taylor, dig what you dig, find what suits you. So for example, if you like running around with a tambourine, clapping, praising Jesus, then that's your style. But it's the love that matters. It's the important things that matters. The only thing I'd say to you is if you hear criticism of Rome or the Eastern Orthodoxy, let it go in this ear and out the other, do not listen. Because a lot of people have these issues, but they argue with ignorance. I had one person say to me about these, like, oh, you Catholics, why do you have medals for the saints? And I said to people, I said, Jesus is the number one person. Okay. Catholics pray to the Virgin Mary for intercession, not praying to her as we worship her. We look at her as a mother because she's the new Eve, basically. But we worship God himself. That's all we worship. But people say, oh, yeah, but why have you got a St. Benedict medal? Why have you got St. Francis medal? Why have you got Padre Pio medal? And so on and so forth. And I always say that, the only person you look up to and love is God, and then your family. But, I always say to these people, do you like football? Okay, who's your favourite footballer? Ronaldo. Okay, that's cool. You like Ronaldo. Who else? Messi. Or, my day, David Seaman. Them sort of people. Because I'm a bit older. Okay, cool. Who's your favourite musician? Well, I like The Offspring. Who's the singer? Dexter Holland. Brilliant. Okay. Who else do you like? Corey Taylor from Slipknot and stuff. So, oh, you like him. What about Dave Grohl from Foo Fighters? Yeah, okay, good. Well, can't like them. Why can't I like them? Well, because you're only allowed to look up to, you see. So it's like you've got to realise you can look up to favourite celebrities, but yet you can't look up to the most holier people who were more holy than me and you could ever be. Does that make sense? So these people are being canonised as saints. You do not pray to these people, but what you do is you look to them for admiration. How can I live more like Christ? Don't judge people for one thing. And these people, some of the great people, like on my rosary, you've got St. Benedict. Now, St. Benedict is proven that he's one of the big ones they use for exorcisms. He keeps you safe. As the lighting flickered then, that was a bit strange, wasn't it? St. Francis of Assisi. I've got, Our Lady. Padre Pio, who is amazing, and we're doing a documentary on him soon as well. Divine Mercy, which is Christ himself. And then the greatest Pope, I think, for many, many years, John Paul II. But I look to Jesus and Jesus alone. I look to God alone. That's what all Catholics do. But looking at a saint, people like, for example, if you go to church, people say, oh, I'm not feeling very, very well. Can you pray for my mum? Or can you pray for my dad or my nan? She's going for a hard time. Had a hip replacement. That sort of thing. So you go home, you light a candle for them, you pray. Every Christian, every Muslim, we all do this. When you pray to the saints, you're praying intercession on your behalf. There's people, like, for example, St. Benedict, please protect my family. Archangel Michael, please protect my family. Please, can you ask God to help more? You pray to God directly, but you ask for intercession. Same thing as what we do in church. Now, obviously, culturally, some people don't understand that because obviously a lot of people from the Protestant denominations only know Christ. This is who you go to. But a lot of books out there, if you look at the Protestant faith, first off, not all the Protestants actually agree. They're all different and they're under one big umbrella. So they're actually, a lot of these denominations are very, very small, but you put them together, there's a lot of them. But it's kind of like when you look at the Book of Protestantism, I always say it's like having a book with half the pages torn out. So you go into a Roman Catholic church, you go, what are those? Well, they're the Stations of the Cross. Oh, what do you do with them? Oh, well, then this is where you pray on certain stations of when Jesus was arrested all the way up to the crucifixion. Okay. What's that statue of the Virgin Mary? Oh, well, we do this for the Virgin Mary. Oh, okay then. Who's that there? Oh, that's this great saint who did this, that, and the other. Oh, okay. Why do you Catholics pray with them beads? And then you start to learn more and more and more. And obviously, Father Mark Schmitz is doing the Catechism as well at the moment in a year, which I highly recommend watching. Another amazing work from Father Mark Schmitz. You've also got the Bible in a year. So there's a lot of things you can study, but so that's my goal. I think communion is a very, very important thing. Like why Christians can't commune together, where there's this argument and discontent and dislike, and we do it this way, you do it that way. It's like, listen, like it says in the Bible, it's like, you can't move the log from my eye. You can't move the splinter from my eye while you have a log in your eye. You hypocrite. Remove the log from your eye, then remove the splinter from mine. All Christians fail on this because they argue and bicker. He says, she said, they. No, we need unity. And Christ's church has become so divided now that it's really upsetting to see. So my goal is to try and build that bond back, to get everybody to their faith again, to get everybody understanding what they need to do to love their Protestant brothers and sisters, to love their Catholic brothers and sisters, because they go, Catholic are different. Catholic's a word, it means universal. There's one church, yes, there's the Eastern Orthodox, but there's only one Pope. And at one point, even the Eastern Orthodox Church kind of looked at the Pope. Then there was the schism and they separated. The Pope's always kind of been the top dog in a way. Now, I don't say that every Christian has to follow the Pope. I'm not saying that. But to say that he's a heretic, no, he's not. In fact, the Roman Catholic Church do more for people than people can fathom. What I want people to do is learn respect. So my channel is although I will do videos on Buddhism, on the Sikh faith, on Hinduism, on Islam, and Judaism, it predominantly is going to be a Christian YouTube channel. But there will be elements of other faiths in there, documentaries. I'll do questions and answers like this as well. Because I think people need to learn. They need to learn and they need to understand the truth about their faith. And this is where people go wrong because there's too much hatred in the world. And especially where us Christians, we're meant to be the most loving, kind, church out there. And yet we're arguing with each other. So you look at an atheist or an agnostic, why would they listen to you? Because they see people being hypocrites. And they're like, well, you're not following that. You just said you don't like them. And it's like, so you've got to follow. Having said that, I think the Christian faith needs to be a bit stronger. They need to stand up for themselves more. One thing I love about Islam is that they will defend their faith, even if it's against the state. They will say, no, this is our faith, and our faith is number one, period. And I admire Islam. I admire Muslims for that, because they are so devout and they practice their faith the way Christians did 100, 200, 300 years ago. Like a lot of people say now, we live in a godless time. No, we don't. There's billions of followers in the world. There's 1.4 billion Catholics. There's easily about 1 billion other Christians in the world. There's 1.3 or 1.4 billion Muslims in the world there. And this doesn't include Jews. This doesn't include the Sikhs. This doesn't include the Hindus. This doesn't include the Buddhists. This doesn't include the pagans. This isn't including, the anyone else, Wiccans. This doesn't include spiritualists. This doesn't include the new law of attraction flock, who again are believing in a god because they're praying to the universe. But like I say, even they're getting things wrong, because they're praying to the universe, but the universe doesn't give you anything, because the universe is a creation itself, same as we are a creation. You pray to the entity that created the universe that you live in. That's who you pray to. But obviously a lot of people have an issue with religion, and again, the reason they have an issue is because of all the conflict, because of all the he says, she says, and arguing. One thing I'm going to do on the channel is I'm going to do a couple of debates, friendly debates, where I'm going to have a few people who are scholars in Islam, and we're going to talk about the Trinity, which is a big thing they're going to straight away want to talk about. We're going to talk about things like that. We're also going to be talking about, the big things of Islam. Like, not many people know this. If you go, the Quran, is Jesus in there? Yes, he is. And did you know Muslims won't say a bad word about Christ? He's one of their top prophets. They also won't have a bad word said about the Virgin Mary. But you get a lot of Protestants out there go, you don't want to pray to the Virgin Mary, you don't want to do this, you don't want to do that. You're talking bad about the woman at the foot of the cross, where Jesus says, woman, this is your son. John, this is your mother. Not just his mother, all of our mothers. And this was Christ's exact words. So I will be doing things like that as well. I'm talking about, the faith in general. But I'm not here to convert people to Catholicism. I'm not here to make people go to Rome, or the Anglican Catholic Church, or the Anglo-Catholic Church, or the Lutheran Church, or any. I'm here to try and steer people to Christ. If I can steer people to Christ, I will. Because the one thing people have got to realize is, of all the avatars in history, Buddha, Krishna, everywhere in the world, there hasn't been a man in history ever to do what Jesus done. Not even come close, not even touch the surface. And although Buddha said some great things, Jesus said better things. And although they pretty much said similar things, and there's been a lot of Buddhas, by the way, not just one, Christ has done things and said things more than anyone has, and done things which no one can do. We get tricks and magicians, and people use tricks and illusions to get away with magic, but Christ did things which no one can do. No one can do. There were no tricks. There was no camera angles. There's no lenses. There's nothing under the water. What he can walk on, he walked on the sea. It's like, this man did things. He brought people back from the dead. He brought himself back from the dead. So these are all the sort of things which you need to look at. But anyway, I wish you all a fantastic night, because it's getting late. But anything you want to know, I'll do more questions and answers like this. But it's been fantastic to have you all today. Any other questions you want to ask, please do feel free. Drop me a message and put it in the comment section here, and we'll talk about it. I'll do another live and we'll talk about it. Anyway, good night. God bless. And don't do anything I wouldn't do. And if you do, don't get caught. So we'll finish off on a prayer. Holy Father, thank you for today. Thank you for helping us all. And please look after our families. In God's name. Non Padre, Filius, Sancti. Amen. God bless. Take care and have a fantastic evening.